some of those social media, and just in terms of just treating one another kindly. And so I'm really hoping to get some applicants to the steering committee, the student-led steering committee that I'm going to run to try to create a little bit more of a positive culture for the older kids. So this is a really big initiative that's super important to me. The other thing that I know some of you know about and not everyone knows about are something that's always been near and dear to my heart and now is very near and dear to the Chancellor's heart, which are student-led parent-teacher conferences. This year, starting right now, we are conducting 6th and 7th grade student-led conferences. And next year, we're going to try and go school-wide into student-led conferences. You know, all the research in education and all the important work that people are doing points to a simple fact that the sooner we foster and teach independence and support kids to take control and responsibility for their own learning, the better they will do. And there is longitudinal research that shows that those students, in fact, are the ones who are prosperous in life. And even if you just take it to the one simple consideration of the high school search. And I'm thinking about, and I know that some of you, and I know your nieces, right? And so some of us have been through the high school search and more than once. And what I can tell you is that there's a lot of kids in this city, and a lot of them are super smart, and a lot of them have excellent transcripts. And what really separates the kids from, you know, from one another is it's what we've been saying from the beginning. It's not just reading and writing, but it's speaking and listening. So when you go in for that high school interview, I would really like for the BSI students to always be the ones who are going to get that seat. If there's 2 seats and 4 kids, or if there's 1 seat and however many kids, our children who are going to be able to speak about and speak to what they're learning, what kind of a learner they are, what their experiences have been from K to 8, all of these experiences are going to make a difference in that all-important high school interview. And don't even think about college interviews and job interviews. I mean, David and I and Donna just finished a process downstairs where we were going through the protocol and the committee to hire. Saying to me, wow, you know, you got to figure, like, what do some of these people think about how do they think they're going to be the ones to be hired? And the ones who you want to hire are the ones who come in and can speak to any issue, really about anything. I mean, we had a couple candidates, but one candidate was just, no matter what you asked her, she was completely natural, completely unfazed, could talk about what she knew, what her experiences had been, how she could help in any kind of environment. And that's really impressive. And those are the people that, by the way, we want to surround ourselves with, right? Those are the people I want to sit at the table with and work. And those are the people who are desirable in this world when you're trying to do something. So student-led conferences are all about this focus of the kids really being able to take responsibility for their learning. And when you think about it, think about, you know, the 6th and 7th graders are a little nervous right now about doing this, but think about if we start that earlier and how well prepared they will be. And it's not only about leading a parent-teacher conference or a student-led conference, but it's about understanding yourself as a learner and taking responsibility for your learning. And if you go on to Engage New York, actually, you can see a lot of videos of student-led parent-teacher conferences with kids in kindergarten. And it's just sort of amazing and sort of mind-boggling. And it fits into the category of, I think sometimes as parents, and I know that I'm guilty of this myself, we tend to think of our kids as a little bit younger and a little bit less competent than they really are, because they're our babies, right? And so, but if you put them out there in the world and you get a little bit of distance from yourself, actually see that they are quite confident. I mean, my 17-year-old, and this is his favorite line, I was driving him somewhere last Tuesday night, and I was about to drop him off, and he goes, "Mom, I'm older than you think." And I thought, what in the world? But you know, on the one hand, I want to say no, but and then on the other hand, I'm thinking, well, where is he going with this? And he goes, "Mom, in a year and a half, I'm going to be living on my own and in college." And so, at what point then do you want me to take responsibility for these kinds of decisions? Now, of course, kids are going to try that line on you a lot in your life for a lot of different reasons, but it did give me pause. So, when I think about what we see at school and children's capabilities, and what I see sometimes with how, even in your, with my own kid too, with how you go home and then all of a sudden you want your mom to help you do something. And then I see these kids in the classroom and they're like creating work that is unbelievable and all independently and on their own. So one of the things the direction I would really like to go in, and I think I was talking to Donald about this earlier tonight, is I'd love to have a maker room, a place where kids can come work on projects. And maybe we can even have it, maybe we could even staff it after school if we had enough funds. And kids could sign up for after school and we could have materials and equipment there, like we're just about to buy a CNC mill, which is something that is for the digital fabrication class that builds things from the outside in. You start with a cube of wood or styrofoam and if you program it, it cars what you need, which is the opposite of a maker of a 3D printer, which builds from the inside out. So wouldn't it be really interesting and helpful and supportive to the kids if we had all sorts of materials in a room where they could come and say, I'm working on this project, I'm building a 3D model, and I need, paper towel centers and toilet paper rolls and saran wrap and aluminum foil and straws and Q-tips and all those things that kids really need in their projects. So I've been thinking a lot about that because kid-created work is a lot of times when projects are, especially in a school like this, and I've seen it more in other schools, but I've seen some of it in our own school, where kids get an assignment to create a project and they bring in this unbelievable thing and you think, well, how many architects did somebody hire to do that job? The confidence that children are able to build when they sit down and they take on a project like that and use their own ingenuity and creativity, and what they know and are learning about a subject is amazing. And those student-created projects really are the foundation of so much learning. So we'd like to have more project time at school. How do you work that in? What do what goes away instead? But these are all kind of nice challenges, but it's definitely a direction we're going in. And these are things that I've been blogging about. I know we have too much information and too many things to read, but those are things on my mind. And since that's what's on my mind, we have conferences on Monday. I hope everyone will come. Keep in mind, Monday, we can have many offline conferences. Every single Tuesday morning from 8 to 8:30 is a time that you can schedule conferences all throughout the year. We've had hundreds of conferences already, but we do look forward to seeing everyone. Is there anything on any of your minds, anything that somebody's not emailing me about and asking me and writing me? Any questions? Yes?
Like the library, when will it start? When the
So,
kids will be stopping by and picking out the books?
So we don't have a librarian, but I know that, is it Mariana or Christopher was organizing the parents?
I don't know. I offered my services. I sent a message to Chris.
Okay.
And
So part of it is that we have so many initiatives going that we get overwhelmed, and it's another thing to sort of schedule. But I can't imagine that we won't be able to start it right away after parent-teacher conferences. I'll ask Anna what she thinks, and we'll try to get it going. Because I know we have enough parent volunteers. We would, I met with Josephine Sportella's house And we would very much like to combine our resources next year and hire a real staff librarian, funding permitting, because we would like to have a real library program. So, but until then, we'll try to get it going right away. That's a great question. Would you do me a favor and shoot me an email so that's sort of a call to action to me?
Yep.
Ella.
Are the first graders going to have media literacy this year? You
So
said it was
media
last
literacy
time,
is going to be push-in, and it's going to happen inside their classroom. So I'm glad you asked that question. So basically, what happens in a K-8 school with one teacher who does media literacy is that there's too many kids and not enough teacher. So I've been thinking a lot about it because there's also a little bit of a difference between media literacy and some of the tech stuff that needs to happen, like coding, right? Like some of the how-to stuff that needs to happen. So Reese, you all know Reese Donna, he's been our media literacy consultant since day one. He and I sat down 2 Fridays ago with exposure, or after school for middle schoolers. Because one of the things I noticed about exposure when I walk around and observe in after school is there are a ton of adults who have deep knowledge about coding, animation, film scoring, filmmaking. So what I propose to exposure is that they come up with a proposal that they could partner with us next year so that, and because I don't have any more money this year that's not already dedicated to something, but so that we could have not only Mr. Michael for media literacy, but also some tech, because the deep, what Mr. Michael is teaching is a lot of deep pedagogy about, I don't know, those of you who have, like Rachel, you guys, the 6th graders are doing that interesting Americana, right? And the 7th graders are doing the interesting Padlet stuff. And so what they're, and the 5th graders do the Japanese internment and all of that research. And so Mr. Michael has heavy pedagogy where some of the stuff that needs, the how-to stuff that needs to happen doesn't necessarily have to happen the same way. So we're looking into deepening that and taking on another partner, because the other thing that's happening is the DOE is providing a lot of training for teachers and that computer service for all. That's basically $81 million for teacher training, but it won't affect us that much. But we sat down with, and we are partnering with a lot of people who are involved in that computer service for all initiative, because we are really trying to get more tech inside the day, not just in media literacy and tech, but all over the place in every subject. And so for that, we need more technical know-how, more equipment, a little bit more resources from the DOE, greater bandwidth, and we've been really instrumental in trying to make those things happen also on sort of the borough front, which is why I went to the press conference with Eric Addis and we're trying to engage all schools in Brooklyn in doing the Hour of Code on the week of December 9th, right, which is Science Week. So I guess what I'm saying, Ella, is there's no immediate that it's going to be a standalone, and what the first graders are going to get is the teachers and pushing in and turnkey stuff, but we would like to have much more.
But it's not going to be with Mr. Michael.
Well, it might be that Mr. Michael is overseeing it, but it would be with the classroom teacher or some of the other people who are in the school, right? Any other questions? That was a great question. Thank you.
I have a question about Spanish. It seems like there is a lot of confusion going on. Are there changes coming?
So with Spanish, it seems like parents would very much like to have some kind of a textbook to depart from. So
Or
we're
handouts maybe, because right now they make notes and sometimes they misspell the stuff.
yes,
and it
yes,
makes me
we're
work.
completely aware of that. And so we are going to have something so that you'll have something. I know at MS51, and I also know at Beacon, what they do is they scan the books, and then at least you can reference a book and check. So we are in the process of getting that up and running, and it should be, I would say, in the coming weeks, completely resolved.
What about Duolingo? Because there was one email that you have to register for it, and I wondered how we can use it, how we not use it.
I think the kids are using it, but I'll find out about that. I don't know about Duolingo. I just thought it was like an added tool. But I'm very much
Because it actually
aware.
sounded that it was like, like a required assignment we were supposed to complete, but then no communication.
So I hope everyone has signed on for School Loop, right?
Yes.
And so it's all sort of part of the same initiative. Very much I am interested in cleaning up Spanish and getting expected when it's expected.
Yeah, I got a Spanish homework off of school today, then I didn't remember what it was. and
Yeah,
it was on
yeah,
School Loop.
yeah. So School Loop is going to be really helpful. It's
For
not
the grades.
completely up and it's going to, I'm sorry?
Well, the grades also goes to School Loop, or not?
In 4th and 5th grade, they will, just like they are now in 6th and 7th, but that's not up and running yet. Because we just uploaded the data, and so now the teachers have to populate everything. So for this marking period, not at all, but for next marking period, yes. And I don't know, 6th and 7th, well, I know Donald, you use it. So I don't know, Kathy, if you're using it, but are you using School Loop?
Yeah.
It's got a lot of,
I like to.
yeah, it's got a lot of information.
I mean, for someone like me who as a kid who comes home from school saying, I don't remember
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
ever,
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're all like that. It's helpful to me too. I mean, I have access to everyone's grades and everyone's assignments, and so I can see how everyone's doing, if there's any trends in, performance, like is there one thing that all kids had a really hard time with? All that's interesting data that I can look at. So School Loop is really, really helpful. So I'm sorry, that we've had a little bit of a false start with Spanish, but I think it comes with the territory with the new initiative, and we're certainly going to step it up.
Okay. And blog versus School Loop. So are we all transferring to School Loop once it's available for a specific grade, or is it going to be blogs and then?
We're always going to blog, but School Loop is where all the grades and assignments are. But your assignments won't be blogged. Blogging is really for just like, hey, here's what we're working on, here's what we did, here's a picture of the CNC mill and the kids, working with it. But pretty much all of your information will come from School Loop. Assignments, grades. Okay?
So will those teachers that currently publish assignments on blogging be transferring them to
Yeah,
School Loop?
yeah.
Perfect.
So we're in the process of training everyone. So yes.
Great.
What happened with the, remember the DOE pushed registering all the parents and giving them access to that website?
So that's for summative state data. So in the summertime, when the scores come out, that's where you would find.
Pretty much, but throughout the year, you won't see attendance there, you won't see anything else?
Has anybody been in that system? I don't.
I logged in
You see
like
the
a couple of times,
attendance, yeah.
but
You see attendance.
really, they populated?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see it.
But it's not going to have the records that we are keeping. The only records that will be is at the end of a year then. So their report card grades, anything that would have showed up in SEMS, the school-wide and the school enrollment management system.
I was just wondering what was the point.
What the point of it is? Well, where would you find that state data? Where would you find? I think the DOE is really trying to give parents access. Like, where would you find your test scores? In August, like in the third week of August, when I have my 5 minutes of vacation.
It wasn't only for higher class, it was throughout the whole school. It was for kindergartners, first graders.
Well, but in kindergarten, I mean, our
There's nothing really to see there.
but our students are a little different because there are schools where there's certain data, like if you're an English language learner and you're taking a certain test, or if you're, they used to have something called eCam for math and eClass. So there could be little data in there. Because of how we have now School Loop and because of the way we do things, you have a lot of access to a lot of data that parents don't really have in that aggregated way. I don't know. I think it's really just they're trying to give you something, and I don't know what else is in there. Does anybody else? I know there's attendance, right, James?
Yes, that's
Just test scores and attendance.
state scores. There's supposed to be, I guess, your regular performance, but I guess the school have to upload.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Well, that would be at the end of the year,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
Ms. Donna, our office started in October and we weren't able to plan to start student IDs not in the database.
Uh huh. school loop, email Anna. Do you have Anna's email?
Yeah.
Email Anna, she'll get it on there tomorrow.
Okay, does this roster get created from school loop as well?
I
No.
don't know what that
Nah,
roster is.
nah, that's from the PTO records only.
Oh, that's PTO. She's definitely, when Chloe, it's Chloe, right? Yeah, but I can tell because she looks exactly like you. I feel like I'm looking at Chloe. So the day Chloe started, she's in our ATS system. And then to get her in school loop, I would imagine if she's not in school loop, that Anna can take care of it with a phone call.
All right.
Yeah, don't wait. Just do that right away.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? You guys you've got some nice questions. So everyone knows that questions like these, or any type of questions, you don't ever have to wait until you see me at a PTO meeting or in the hall. You can call me, you can email me, right? And I will always do my level best to respond to you and to help you and to connect you with who you need, or to try and figure out together how we can solve any issues that you might be having. So please don't hesitate ever to reach out to me, because I for me, I want to do right by the kids, and I want to do right by you. So please, if there's anything going on, don't ever wait. If you need information, if you have information you think I need, just let me know. All right?
Perfect.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.